Okay, we are live. So, hello everyone. I'm Alberto from the Unstoppable Creator, and today with me there's Maya. That's Maya Sayvanova
Hey,
or Sayvanova. I don't remember the exact accent.
that's okay. Sayvanova. Yeah, that's good.
Sayvanova. Okay. And I met or maybe read Maya for the first time on Medium a while ago, and I found her articles very interesting, authentic, and her story is very rich. I would say you've done a lot, Maya, and now you are also on Substack. But we'll talk about that. First of all, tell us what you are doing now as a content creator and solopreneur.
Yeah, thank you first of all for the invite. Happy to be here. So right now I'm focusing on just two clients. I have two big clients that are writing clients, and I am doing Substack and Medium as a creator. I'm very excited about Substack and Medium about what they can achieve. But my primary income is still from copywriting and ghostwriting, which has been how I built my business over the years. So for a very long time, I built my business quietly. I wasn't on social media. I was primarily on Fiverr and then also through recommendations. So that's how I reached six figures. And then I decided, you know what, I want to talk about this because it was quite the ride. So it's sort of, I'm doing both now.
Okay, okay. We'll focus more on your processes and systems, but probably we'll talk about freelancing and solopreneurship too, because it's, I think, the main focus of your publication, and you
Yeah.
wrote a lot about it, so I certainly will touch those topics. And there's a bit of feedback when I talk. If you can just turn the volume down on your
Okay.
smartphone just a bit, I think that the mic is
Okay.
capturing. Okay, so the first question I asked many of my guests is, what's your typical day right now? And it means what's your typical day in terms of your work, but also how do you use your free time? I know you have family, so
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
Yeah. That's a good question. So usually I will wake up early, around 7 a.m., and get the kids ready for school, and I'll drive them to school, drop them off. And then I'll have some time for myself, usually before I start to work. I think that's important. And it's something
Mm,
that I realized after I became a solopreneur that you don't want to dive in straight into work. You sort of want to have your brain prepare a little. I don't have like crazy routines or anything like that, but I will like sit at a cafe somewhere for a while. Sometimes I go to Pilates in the morning, just little things like that. And then I'll sit down to work maybe between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Um, I journal sometimes. So if I feel really confused about things and I'm not sure what's a priority right now, and like everything's crazy, clients are all over the place, like messaging me on 100 platforms, giving me feedback on stuff, then changing their mind. So that happens a lot with big clients. So you need to be on top of them a little bit because there's a lot going on in their heads. So anyway, if things are a little crazy, I'll definitely stop and journal about it, try to organize my thoughts and priorities for the week, for the next few days, or even just for the day. And then I'll just start writing, working, researching, whatever it is. I do have meetings from time to time. I don't like meetings a lot, right? So I feel like they're a distraction when you're trying to do deep work in writing specifically.
yeah,
I feel like the best parts of writing are done during the deep work moments. So if you have like bazillion meetings, it's really, so I always tell my clients like one meeting per week, that's tops. And
yeah.
sometimes if we can skip a week, that's even better. And yeah, but from time to time, I'll have a meeting. I also set aside some time to just review KPIs, sort of how are things going for both my publications on like Medium and Substack, and for my clients' publications? Like, are we getting traction? Are we getting subscribers, comments, like whatever it is, whatever the target is for the client or for their campaign? Um, and sort of strategize. I feel like strategy is super important, not spoken enough about. And lately, I'm sort of leaning towards this topic in my publication. It's like the big picture of things. Like, let's stop just like posting,
Mhm.
posting, 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 and really think like, where are we going with this? What is
Yeah.
happening here? What like? So I'm trying to always set aside some time for this. And then just I'll finish work about, I don't work a lot, meaning like maybe 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, something like
Wow.
that. So I usually finish about 4 to 5 p.m. And I'll just cook dinner. My husband will pick up the kids. I'll cook dinner, walk the dog, or just honestly sometimes just like lay on the couch, sort of meditate, staring at the ceiling. I mean, sometimes it's just so much writing, Alberta. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. I'm guessing all professional writers have, but professional writers, I want everyone to know, write a lot. Like, even if you think like Seth Godin writes one like
Yeah.
newsletter per week, or oh, he's all set, but Seth Godin has written like 26 books in 21 years. 26 books. So you can imagine that it's a lot of work. And when you're working with clients also in your own work, and sometimes I literally feel like just like smoke is coming out of my ears. So I just need to like sit down and meditate on the couch or something. And then kids come back and it's crazy, crazy family time. Sometimes we go out with friends, and that's pretty much it. Weekend is all family time.
Wow, it sounds very it sounds a good ratio between work and everything else. When did you reach? Because I read your story, and if I remember correctly, in the beginning you had to work, and when you were still growing on Fiverr, you had to work
Yeah.
basically every hour of the day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
How did you transition from that to now?
Yeah. So the first thing was uh, a lot of it is mindset change, a lot of it. And then some of it is, again, strategy, as I said. It's not that different. I was just actually going to, because I reached 250K on Fiverr. That's how much money I've made on the platform.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the first 3 years I made like $7,000 or $8,000 per year. Per year. Now I make that like sometimes in a month. I don't focus on Fiverr that much anymore because I have my bigger clients.
Mhm.
So I have my profile and I have it set on. There's this setting where people cannot book directly, but they can only message you first. So I'll talk to people, and sometimes if I decide I want to take on the project, I'll take it on. Other than that, I don't take on work anymore, like as frequently. So as I was growing, though, in the beginning, I did about pages, like 200, 300 words about pages for $5. That was like
Yeah.
10 or
Yeah.
11 years ago. And it got so busy at one point because people were happy. They were leaving good
Yeah.
reviews. And literally, as you said, the story went like this. I would wake up in the morning, sit down to write. I would have a bazillion messages, new bookings. I'd just write, 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 write. And then
Mm.
literally until the moment where I just couldn't, for the life of me, write another word, just get up, eat some dinner, relax, like see my husband, whatever. We didn't have kids yet back then. And then because of Fiverr's a way of putting a deadline. So, for example, if you book right now, you would have a deadline, for example, for one day. The timer starts ticking back to 24 hours. So, I would have to
Yeah.
deliver your order exactly
Anxiety,
within the
pure
minute.
anxiety.
Yeah, within the minute. So sometimes because of the time difference, people would book at, let's say, 2 a.m. and then I'd have until 2 a.m. to deliver it. So I'd stop, I'd eat dinner, I'd take a nap, I'd wake up at 1 a.m.
Oh
and
man,
then
it's
go back
horrible.
and write until 2 a.m., deliver, right? So that's
Oh,
how crazy it was. So how I went from there to
yeah.
here definitely took me a while. So first of all, started to increase my prices.
Yeah.
It took me a way too long to do this. I didn't have faith in myself. even though I had like 20 to 30 new orders every day and people were happy. I was like, oh, $5 is okay. Like, it's just a little bit. It's just
Good
writing. What's
fiber.
the big deal? Like, yeah. Um, so yeah, I basically started raising my prices slowly. In the beginning, there were so many orders, and then it started to even out a little. And then also I started really setting boundaries. Like if someone like in the beginning, it was someone messaged me and I'm like, yes, I can take on the job. I can do it tomorrow. I can do it today. I can do it like, like no, I just wanted
Mm,
to make it work. It was so important to me. And then I started setting some boundaries. And it was like, I don't work in the weekends. I'll deliver it on Monday. Or, this is too
yeah,
late for me. Or I can't do a meeting because sometimes people want meetings.
yeah,
Like I can't do a
absolutely.
meeting for this price point. And then again, slowly, as you increase your expertise, as you invest, I reinvested a lot of money in learning more about copywriting, about writing, like courses, books, and a lot of the actual writing. And sort of reverse engineering pages. So I spend a lot of time online reading other people's website landing pages, articles, and sort of try to reverse engineer structures and tone and stuff like that. And this isn't about copying it. It's about learning what works for
Yeah, of
you.
course.
Because sometimes you read something and it just stops you right there. It's like, whoa, like this was really powerful. And I want to understand as a writer, it's literally sometimes about every word, like which word specifically, which phrase, what, like, was it the metaphor? Was it the visual? Was it like which part made me stop? So I've done a lot of things like that. And these things increase your confidence. And when you increase your confidence, you start thinking a bit more strategically about things and say, like, okay, so I don't want to work with 100 clients every month. I want to work with
Yeah,
2 clients or 3 clients and really give them my best, right?
yeah.
And
And
also
maybe
that's the
build a
moment when you
relationship.
realize,
Sorry,
sorry,
yeah.
am I talking too much?
No, no. it's
Go
it's
ahead.
it's a very interesting. So go on. But just bring it a little back to what helped you find the balance, because I think in the beginning you just don't know. You may read every single best strategy and productivity and online writing book, and still have to test and feel with your mind and your hands what does it mean to what
Yeah.
it means to work and to work a lot and to set low prices and then try to raise them and so on. I think you have to try. But do you think uh, there is a way to skip a few steps, or at least uh, limit the duration of this period,
Yeah.
the length of this period, when you have to make all the mistakes, basically?
Yeah. I understand your question and thank you for this question. I actually recently thought about this. And I
Yeah,
think the answer is very simple. You just need to decide. So, a lot of solopreneurs are in a mode where they look for something. They look for an opportunity or a sign or someone to tell them, you're great, I want to work with you, and here's all that money. Or just some sort of justification, right? And the truth is, I could have achieved a lot of the things that I've achieved in like 10 years. It could have taken me 5 years if I had just decided, if I had been brave enough and been like, okay, I get to decide what my strategy is, what my
yeah,
prices are, what I want to do, and if it doesn't work, then I'll figure it out. Like I think people pivot too quickly because it's like you try something and if it doesn't work in the first 1 or 2 times, they're like, "Oh, nope, this doesn't I can get clients at these prices. No way." And it's like I was in sales before, and in our training, one of the things that they said was try to get 100 no's. Literally, go out and try to get
yeah.
100 no's. And I bet you that you can't. Before by the time you get 100 no's, you actually get so many yeses that you have to stop and go back into the work. So then you start over. So if you just think about it in terms of deciding rather than finding out the secret or the moment or the
Mm,
person who will allow you to do things your way. I think it's a lot
yeah,
easier. This is what shortens the time.
yeah, it's like um, uh, feeling feeling higher agency. I don't know how to
Yeah,
say it.
exactly, exactly. More
Feeling more in
solopreneurs people
control.
have
Feeling more in
agency.
control.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
you made me think. I've been a solopreneur since the end of 2010, and I after a while, after a long while, I realized that uh, since I was very good in school, and so I kept studying and studying and studying and following all the rules and tactics and advice. And I've done a lot, and I've tried a lot of things that were not for me. For example, scale the business and start managing people, outsource, and so on. I tried many things, and I've seen that at least online you can make anything work. Basically, any strategy. I mean, any type of business. You have to decide
Mm.
what you want to do, basically, or what you want to have, or what kind of life in general you want to
Mm.
live.
Yeah.
I think that you made me think another. I noticed basically in every interview that all my guests have a high degree of self-awareness. At a certain point in the life, they developed a high degree of self-awareness that enables them to decide, okay, I will never do this, I will do that, and I will, because that makes me feel good or makes me do my best work, basically. And do you think you developed this before being able to decide?
Yes, absolutely. I think you're right about this. And I think um, a lot of the resistance in business and in life that we feel comes from trying to not be ourselves, trying to be someone else. A lot of it comes from that. So for the first, like I started on Substack in June, it'll be 2 years. So the first year, because I talk about solopreneurship and entrepreneurship, and it's so tempting to go all in with the hacks and the tricks and the platforms and like it's an easy sell. It's what people want. It's a dopamine hit, right? So it's like someone tells you write 10 posts a day, and then you write 10 posts a day, you get a bunch of subscribers, and your dopamine levels go up, and you're like, whoa, this guy's a genius, I'm following them. And it's fine, it's a good advice, it's not a bad advice. It's important to have tactics. These are like tools on our belt, and whenever we want to achieve something real quick, we use a tool that we have. But without the overall strategy and that confidence and that awareness, as you say, is it's very difficult to achieve something sustainable. You're always going to be worried that the algorithm will change, that the platform will go down, that the client will give up on you, or that whatever will happen, right? So yes, I think awareness is very important, and it starts with deciding, like, let's see what I want to do. And it's okay that it takes some time, meaning sometimes you got to figure out what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of the time, people know instinctively what they don't want to do, and they still do it because they think that the thing that they do want to do won't work. So they will say,
Oh, of course. I
I
was
write,
absolutely.
I want to write about this, but no one wants to read that.
Yeah.
No, a lot of people want to read that. You just got to make it better, but it can still be that thing. It doesn't have to be the other thing, right? So you just have to work on the thing that you like.
And then there are many degrees and angles and perspectives and formats, maybe. So
Mm.
maybe, or platforms when you talk about content. So maybe what you write about doesn't work on Substack, but you uh, transform it into a video and it explodes on YouTube. Yeah, Uh, it's very nuanced, extremely nuanced. What uh, can you say that? Can you identify something in your life that helped you develop the awareness, the yeah, the awareness about what worked, what doesn't, what didn't work, and, because it's data. You need data.
Yes, you
Like
need
when you
data.
write, you
I
need
agree. So
to
the,
know
the
that
first thing,
what.
s- um, again, very interesting question because this is actually something that, so there are two types of feedback. There's internal feedback and external feedback. So there are two layers of my answer here. Again, I want to return to the internal feedback because new solopreneurs or writers tend to ignore that. And they will push it back. They will take parts of it and try to fit it in this other box where other people say what works and what's cool. I feel like internal feedback is super important. And one of the things that really helped me was positive self talk. So instead of sort of wondering and being like, well, what if it doesn't work? If you just instill this just irrefutable confidence in yourself, just be the person that you want to talk to, right? Like, be someone who's like, damn girl, like, you're awesome, this is so good, like, you should really be doing more of that. I mean, seriously, it makes your heart sing, like, this is really good, you can make it better, definitely, like, let's work on making it better, let's work on the hook, let's work on the angle, right? But like, this is awesome, you're so good. And if you keep telling yourself these things, it's fine, even if it's a lie, because let me tell you, this will never work, I'm so bad, this is also a lie. So it's
Yeah.
really about what lie are you telling yourself. If you tell yourself the good lie, you will develop this confidence and agency to say, you know what, this is what I want to do, let's do this. And the other thing is to think strategically, like the external factor is. So when people talk about external feedback,
Yeah.
they really don't know what they mean. So usually sometimes it's, oh, I get a lot of subscribers, but I don't get a lot of responses. I don't get a lot of paid subscribers. I don't get a lot of likes or comments or engagement or whatever. Sometimes it's the opposite. Oh, my conversion rate's really good. I have some people who are like who have like 200 subscribers and 20 paid because their
Yeah.
topics are very specific to those people. They find them valuable. Um, but they can't grow. They struggle to make their message a bit more popular, a bit more
Yeah.
interesting to the general audience so that they can find more people. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, what do you want to achieve? Like, which is the KPI? KPI, for anyone who doesn't know, is a key performance indicator. So which metric will you focus on? And this is what I mean when I say strategy. In terms of to judge external feedback. Because let me tell you, I started writing, for example, shorter newsletters.
Mm.
And I started focusing more on the big picture, which was always something that was more interesting to me. And I started getting a lot more likes and a lot more comments. And then
Ah.
slowly other things started to increase too. But the first thing I noticed, and I actually wrote a newsletter about this, was I started getting comments like, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. I love this message. It's so cool. People started restacking. And then I started gaining new subscribers. But the fact of the matter is, this was exactly the metric that I was going for. Because I was like, if I can get people excited about strategy, not just typing things and getting subscribers, but like thinking about things in a bigger way, that's what I want to do. I don't care if I have, like, honestly, if I have 5,000 subscribers, for example, as I have now, and they are engaged and they want to talk to me and they want to buy or whatever, and open their emails, versus if I have 100K and they have no idea who I am, I'm just someone in their spam box, right?
Mm.
I would take the 5K any day. So I
Yeah.
started to optimize for external feedback, specifically for comments, engagement. I
Yeah.
wanted this level of engagement.
Yeah. And yeah. Okay. And what if if it yeah, if it in case didn't work, you maybe tried a harder topic. The big
Mm,
picture is less attractive than the
mm,
nitty gritty and the hooks and
yeah.
the hacks. So it's a risk. It couldn't have worked. And so what was your plan B?
Yeah. I didn't really have a plan B.
Okay,
I
okay.
thought I thought, you know what? I thought I make it work, because you know what?
Ah,
There's someone for everyone. There are people out there who read white papers on like construction and
yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you're not getting traction, it's either that your thing isn't good enough, meaning it's the right thing for you. You just got to get better at it. That's fine. That's a process. It takes work, adjustment, learning what works for your audience, etc. Or you're not presenting it to the right people.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. It's never, oh, this thing will never work ever in a million years. I mean, J.K. Rowling, did you know that when she was pitching Harry Potter, one of the things that they told her was, this is too long for a children's book. Like, there's no way this will be read ever, right? And this is too complicated. No child will read this. So, and she said, you know what? I don't like. I want to make it good. I want to make it this. Um, so just do your thing. Do your thing. Just try to make it better and find the right people for it. I honestly believe that. And then, of course, if your thing is something that's like super duper specific and the potential audience for it is 100 people in the world, it's good to expand that lens a little bit, right? So try to find an angle that works for people. So, for example, I follow someone on Facebook who she's super successful on Instagram, right? But instead of offering classes on how to become successful on Instagram, she offers classes on how to make better pictures without being like a model. Just the right poses,
Mm,
how to find the right light, just little things like that, right? And she has like bazillion followers. So many people just love what she does. And I'm like, look at this. She could have just focused on Instagram, and she could have been like, oh, I'm an Instagram influencer teaching others how to be Instagram influencers. And instead, she took this whole other angle and she expanded her audience, grew her business. So I never think about things in terms of this won't work or what if it doesn't work.
okay.
My mom used to tell me something. I'm sorry that I'm going to say this story because it's good. Um, so I was watching this magazine. I was a kid, like 12, 10, 11, 12 years old. And I was watching this magazine, and there was some superstar who got like a new haircut. And I was like, how did she get this super short haircut? Isn't she worried that she won't look good? And my mom said, no, these people go to the types of hairdressers that are never worried that it's not going to look good. So they make it look good, you know? And that's what you
Okay.
can do with your content or your business, whatever it is.
I understand the mindset. It's very healthy and helpful. It's more how can I make this work than
Yeah.
will this work? And
And that's
uh,
where that's why it's important, the internal feedback, because if you're excited about it, then you can find the energy to make it work. And if you're like
mm,
it's not working, then there's something there that we need to address, right?
yeah, yeah, it's a fine line because you can also delude yourself forever
Mm.
and don't recognize what isn't working. You said one important thing. It's very hard to assess, especially if you work by yourself. That is the quality of your writing or of your content in general, because you said maybe you are talking to the wrong people, or you are reaching out on you're using the wrong channel, for example, or you have to up your game in a way. Uh, the how I think I guess you when you started writing content, not for your clients, but when you started publishing. Well, At that time, you already had some experience because you learned to write for your clients. But I guess your first articles were not as good as the last one you wrote.
Definitely.
So, how did you realize what you needed to improve, and yeah, how did you improve? If you had a process or maybe an event or something, well, what happened?
Yeah. So you gotta understand something that I don't know that you gotta understand it. Maybe some people need to understand that it's writing is a very, very intentional process. So it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, for beginner, when you're beginning, it's sort of just throwing words on paper. La la la. This is so cool. I'm writing, and the more experienced writers are like, I mean, the first draft is still la la la. That's fine. But there's a second draft and a third draft, and these drafts are, what is the emotion here and what am I trying to say? What's the main point? What's the key message? And what is the emotion that I want people to feel as they're reading it? Because this is how they get the key message. So people communicate through emotion. So
yeah,
one of the things that I noticed was the articles that I was reading, and obviously, you need to read a lot if you're going to be a writer specifically, and if you're going to do any other type of business. Like you have to be really submerged in the
yeah.
industry and understand what's
I call
happening.
it brainwashing because in a way you have to brainwash yourself and
Yeah,
be immersed in that
exactly.
forever.
But you need to sort of figure out what's the difference between your writing and other people's writing, and you also need some distance from your writing in order to do that. So if you write it now and you reread it now, you're not going to get that feeling of whether it's good or
Yeah,
not. But if you wait a few hours or a day, so usually I will write a first draft at least a day before publishing, at least, sometimes more. And then when you look at it with fresh eyes, because your brain has sort of forgotten what you wrote.
yeah,
And when you look at it with fresh eyes, it's like, okay, like I'm getting bored at this paragraph, so maybe I need to do something. Oh, like this doesn't click, this isn't clear. Like, what was I thinking here, right? So, and then the other thing is just read at other writers and sort of notice. Like, if I give you right now two names and you go after this class and you read them, you will notice exactly how they write. And don't think it's coincidence, it's super intentional. So one is Tim Denning, who's like super short sentences, super punchy, very like you feel empowered as you're reading it, confident.
yeah.
It's like doesn't take crap for anyone. This is how you do it. Get up your B and sort of make it happen. And it's usually personal stories, or if it's he's great at storytelling, just incredible. He'll take any story and make it super interesting. And then if you take Michael Simmons, who is the king of research, I'm telling you, this guy, like anything he says, he has stories around it from like the top, like Bill Gates, and there's Einstein, and there's like all these people, right, that are the top levels of their industries, and Oprah and whatever, and he has real stories. He does it. It's not just like he copied and pasted a quote, but like real story. He watched the interviews. He read the book. He
Okay.
and his writing is like 10 minutes long every article, or 15 minutes, 20 minutes long, super detailed. He hooks you from the first paragraph. I'm telling you, I'm starting to read his articles, I can't stop. So it's a totally different style. It's a totally different emotion, and it's super intentional. It's not just putting words on paper. Tim Denning knows exactly what he's doing. Michael Simmons knows exactly what he's doing. They write about similar things. Sort of, they go around entrepreneurship and writing and stuff like that. But you would follow them for completely different reasons. So I feel like if you find that thing, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to give people? Is it clarity? Is it motivation? Is it peace of mind? Is it inspiration? Is it knowledge? Is it the feeling of being
Yeah.
smarter? Is it confidence? Is it like, what is it? And then there's a specific way to do this. And then there's your way to do this. So slowly, as you're writing and as you're reading, you will find it. It's not a hack. It's not something that'll happen in two articles or five. You got to go through it. But this is how you do it, with reading and with thinking about it and with noticing the angles.
sometimes the hard part is um, the connection between noticing that some interesting author is writing differently from you, but realizing what is different is not obvious. Um, Basically, deconstructing or reverse engineering the techniques he's using is not obvious. In my, I don't know if uh, I don't know if I'm able to imitate the writers I admire, but what helped me is that I read a lot of books about writing and tutorials, and so I know what to look for. If I sit down, take an article, and start going line by line, maybe I know what to look for. Uh, did you study or learn in general something that helped you learn from reading, basically, from learning the styles and the tactics used by other
Yeah. Do you mean
writers?
like a specific tactic, specific thing
Yeah,
that?
because well, you read
Yeah.
the Tim Lenin and you can say, "Whoa, this makes me feel great. This makes me want
Yeah.
to launch a business." But from that to what exactly
Yeah.
doesn't make me feel like that? Yeah, it's not so obvious.
Yes. So the first thing that I mean that's the thing that if you know the foundation, then it's easy to spot like the
Yeah.
things. So one of the things is visual writing, and Tim Denning in particular is amazing at it. So he will use words like this feels like a punch in the gut, right? So this is literally something. First of all, you can visualize, and even punch in the gut is even you can feel it almost in your stomach, right, as you're reading it. And he also says like, as I was laying on my couch drinking my beer, I was thinking about blah blah blah. And the thing is, the laying on the couch and the drinking of the beer basically contributes almost nothing to the story. Like
Mm.
everything else is the point of it, but it adds this visual image where you can instantly see him. You can see him on the couch with his beer, just sort of thinking about what a crap like life he's living and how he's not happy, right? So it's these things that make you feel right. It's one of the things that in writing, it's a concept that's ideas through things. So when you can explain an idea visually, visual imagery, see, feel, touch, smell, taste, instantly
Ah,
becomes stronger.
yeah.
Instantly becomes a much stronger idea. So that's one of the things. So, for example, with Michael Simmons, he's good in a storytelling way. So that's another thing is if you've ever considered fiction writing, I know there are a lot of fiction writers on Substack, or if you are a fiction writer, you have heard about the three-act structure. So you know that there should be a challenge, there should be a problem, and then there's a character who's trying
But
to
in your
do
case,
something to solve that problem.
you learn these things from books or courses, and then found them in the articles.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, sometimes you see them, sometimes you'll see them. Sometimes if you try to reverse engineer the article, you'll see, oh, he started with the problem. So he didn't start with one day as I was walking on the beach, I found something
Yeah,
and blah blah blah. He started with, what would you do if you see a dying dolphin? And then he starts with the walking on the
that's right.
beach,
Yeah.
and then this hits you and you're like, whoa, like this really it pulls you in, right? And
Yeah.
then if you actually take a class in creative writing, you will see that this is actually a basic rule in storytelling, is that you start with the challenge, and that also your main character has to do stuff to overcome the challenge. He can't just be sitting there and stuff sort of happen to him, right? So when you're doing, because a lot of people talk about storytelling right now, and some of the things they say are really useless. It's like, oh, tell us your story, tell us how you got fired or whatever, and then we end up with these stories that do nothing. I mean, they just tell us, I got fired, I decided to write, blah blah blah. I mean, I'm sure your story is freaking amazing. Like, I just want you to do it justice. Because sometimes I hear stories on Substack. I'm like, what? Like, just today I heard of someone who was a surgeon, and then she decided to not be a surgeon anymore. Can you imagine? Like, this is something that you've studied for like 10 years to be a doctor, and then you spend a few years doing it and you decided it's not for you.
Yeah.
Like, what, this is an amazing story. I don't want to hear about the boring part of it. I want to go straight in and right, and just, I want to know what happened, you know. So if we learn how to do these things, we become super powerful.
The There are a few messages in the chat. The autistic rebel is saying, study the meta message and not the message, which is yeah, basically what you were saying. And when you study the meta message, you don't focus on an exact template or an exact sequence of words and try to replicate it in every article or short form post. But
Hmm.
when you know the meta, sometimes it's just the emotion, the emotion
Yeah.
you were earlier. I want to, before we close, I want to get back to the strategy part because you mentioned it in the beginning. I know it's a large part of your philosophy
Hmm.
or your way of uh, doing working, living.
Yeah.
What does it mean? What does strategy mean for you? Because for some people, it's procrastination. I
Yeah.
have to sit down and plan everything and write down every single step, basically predict the future. And yeah, obviously it doesn't work. It takes a lot of time.
That's,
So
yeah.
what is strategy for you now, and maybe as it how has it evolved over time? Because you told it before when you started, you were just on Fiverr, everything was on fire. You were working, 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 and basically, when you started to decide, as you said earlier, when you started to decide, you basically started to practice strategy. I think so. How what is strategy for you now, and how did it evolve in your life?
Yeah. Thank you for this question again. So, strategy is a set of decisions. It's not a plan that's super specific in the future, like this is what I'm going to do or whatever. It's more about, right, so this is what I'm aiming for, and this is how I plan to achieve it. These are the things that I'm going to try, and then these are the things I don't want to do. It requires some foundational knowledge though. So the way that the reason why people think strategy is useless is because, and especially for solopreneurs have literally heard 90% of the time the advice they hear is just do it. Just start and you figure it out, right? Just publish it, ship it, whatever.
Yeah,
I've done this, and even though it's been successful, I know that I've wasted a lot of time. I know that I was on like the verge of a mental breakdown a lot of the time. I
yeah,
burned out seriously at one point. I basically gave up my business, and then I sort of restarted it. So I really want to keep people from going through this. And it's specific because there hasn't really been, there's not education for solopreneurship. It's so new. It's literally
yeah,
because technological revolution has made it possible these days to
yeah,
actually make money alone without employees, without anyone. And it's different than most ways that people do business. So that's why I'm trying to develop a framework. And I've developed a framework, a basic framework where you know what choice will lead to what and what to expect. So one of the things is when you just do, you don't know what to expect. But the thing is, there is information out there about what happens when you do A, you get Y. When you do right B, you get, like, it's pretty simple. So for example, if you're trying to, like, if you're struggling for money right now and you want to, like, you've been laid off or you quit your job because it sucked or whatever the situation, and you really want to build a solopreneurship business that makes a lot of money as fast as possible, your best bet is to start offering services.
Yeah.
Services are the easiest things to sell, and you can charge a lot for them. You can charge premium rates because it's a done for you service. So
Yeah.
the easiest way is package your know-how, and I know that you've been writing about this. You wrote about this, I think, at one point. It's just you package your know-how, and you sort of, it's just an easy thing to do. And then if you're going to be to create a content business where you write or create content online or whatever it is, essentially you're in a media business. You're a one-person media company. So if you want to do a media company, why not learn from media businesses? Media businesses have been around for a
Mhm.
century, right?
Mhm.
It's not something new. It's new that you're just one person, but it's not something new as a whole. So there are strategies there that you can use. And also, it's insane to expect to grow a content business to a livable wage within the first year, let's say, maybe even 2 years. Some people sometimes with some hacks who are at the
Yeah.
right moment at the right time with the
Yeah.
right place, etc., maybe have done it. These are the type of people that will try to sell you courses saying that you can do it too. There are certain rules in business, and while yes, you can win the lottery, you can, but this is not a strategy. So it's not something that will keep you with peace of mind, comfortable, confident, and knowing that you have a business
So
that works.
you're saying that in a way, a strategy also includes setting the right expectations in a
Yeah,
way. So
yeah,
you collect and digest information, the, the the most common practices, not the exceptions,
yeah,
and that um, an approximate
yeah,
plan and a long-term goal, not a 6 month goal and 1 month
exactly.
goal. Okay, so what was the what did your first strategy look like? I mean, when you started strategizing, what did you write down, basically?
Yeah. So my first strategy was that I don't want more than 3 clients,
Ah,
and I'm going to work on a content business, and I'm not going to work on a product business. So as a solopreneur, there are types of business models. You either sell services or you sell content, which is the media business that I talked about, or you sell products, whether it's digital products or it could be, t-shirts or products, whatever
yeah.
types of products, physical. Um, so these are the 3 types of things. And one of the mistakes that I see a lot of solopreneurs do is they want to build all 3 at the same time and have them be super successful, right? And they'll keep trying and like, oh, maybe if I do this product next or this course or this service, or this is super difficult. Like even if you take any company like a big corporation, they don't do all 3. Like very few corporations in the world will offer products and
Ah,
services
yeah.
and content business, right? And yet you see a lot of solopreneurs try to do all 3 because they haven't decided what they want to do. They don't know what it takes to do any of those. So one of the things that I decided, to get back to your question, is to not do a product business right now. So whatever types of products I create, and I do create educational programs, I input them in my subscription. So it's all about content and services for me. My The big portion of my income is still from my clients and my services. And also, I actually love my clients right now. I only work with 2 clients, and I make enough money with that. So, and I love them. I just love the topics and I love the people. It's just, it works. And it also leaves me enough time to do Substack and to do
Yeah.
Medium. So that's amazing for me. And my long-term strategy is to slowly take it down to maybe 1 client and make it like a super premium high-level service. And if someone needs that, then fine. But to have my content business be the primary income. But I know it's going to take a while, and I'm fine with that.
And so why? What led you to this strategy? Be- One thing I guess is that on Fiverr you worked with dozens or hundreds of different clients, and you didn't like that. So I guess this was this was important an important factor in your decision. What? How did you get to this strategy?
I think it's just the way that anyone decides to do any business. Like I like working with clients, but I've always been the type of person, like from a very little girl, the first job that I've ever dreamt of was working in a magazine. So I would read magazines, I would
Yeah,
just like devour them. I would read them cover to cover.
yeah,
And we were like, we were kind of poor when I was growing up, so we didn't have a lot of magazines. But sometimes a friend of mine would invite me, like, to her house, and I would
magazine
sometimes
party.
take. Yeah, her mother would be like, "Oh, do you want these old magazines, like a stack of them?" And I was just always interested in these type of things. And when I was 12 years old, I started writing for a teenage newspaper,
Ah, so
which
yeah,
was like in the city. Yeah, so I was just always attracted to this. But in the beginning, I didn't even know it was possible. Exactly because there was no one to tell me this is the strategy. These are the types of businesses that you can do. And maybe they weren't even available back then because I started
yeah,
2012. And they weren't available. There was no Substack. Medium was just starting, but they didn't have the
yeah,
partnership program yet. So yeah, but it was a slow sort of realization of wow, I can do this. It wasn't so much a realization of I want to do this. It was a realization of I can actually do this on my own. I don't need a magazine to employ me. I can create my own stuff,
yeah,
whatever I want. And that was the moment when I realized I gotta make it work, and I will make it work. I'm fine with taking it slow. I'm fine with like developing it in my head and trying things, and because I have this other thing that's working. I'm not. I, I don't think it's a good strategy to rush things. Sometimes it's
yeah,
good to just get it
okay,
done. Like done is better than perfect, as we all know.
yeah.
But also, there's a certain limit where let's think things through. Okay.
So you basically made the thing that was working. You made it more sustainable and more
Yeah.
pleasant.
Yeah.
And on the side, yeah, on the side, you started with content, and yeah, you see, you see what works in the
Yeah.
future, what works best in the future. Okay, so it was great talking to you. We went in a totally different direction than most other guests, and I hope we'll talk again in the future because I think you have a lot to say and a lot of helpful things to say to my audience. And so, first of all, thanks for your time and thanks for your words and your wisdom. I
Thank
like
you
your
too.
how you experiment, you constantly experiment. Because if I remember correctly, you are also in the house flipping business or something like that, or you just tried that in the past, or did you
I'm
do
sorry, I
something?
didn't get that.
Okay, did you do
House
something with the
flipping.
real estate in
Yeah,
the past?
we do
Yeah.
that
Okay.
now. Yeah, me and my husband. Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
really interested in real estate, and we decided to try when we were able to save a little money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going very well so far.
So I like that you're constantly trying new things, and sometimes some things work, some things don't, and then it's just new information that you can use to update your strategy.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
where can people reach you? Just look for Maya. I think you are the only Maya or one of the few Maya on Substack.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
easy to find, right?
yeah. My newsletter is called Smarter Solopreneurs.
Yeah.
You can find it on Substack. Come join me, and you can also message me directly if you want to talk about something.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Thanks to
Thank you.
everyone who joined us. And yeah, maybe we'll talk again in a few months.
Okay,
Goodbye.
thank you.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys. Bye.